Hey everybody, it's Bob Crossen. I am the Vice President of Content Strategy for the Endeavor Business Media Water and Energy Groups, a division of Endeavor B2B. I'm here with John Ikeda. He is the Chief Mission Officer for WEF. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your time.
That's my pleasure.
Yeah. So, wanted to talk to you about WEF's mission, kind of where you guys are headed, where you are right now, and how that will change over time. So, thinking about 2025 and 2026, where are you currently positioned strategically, and where do you hope to go in 2026?
Yeah. No, it's a great question, and it's been an amazing year for us, an amazing WEF Tech, and I think 26 is going to be even stronger. So for our strategy, we really have three pillars: workforce, community, and the circular water economy. So it's about how do we find people, get them excited about water, get them into the water sector, and then help them get the skills that they need to excel. Provide a community where people can meet, right, and share their knowledge, identify business opportunities, and then finally channel all of that energy in that community towards leading the transformation to the circular water economy. And then cutting across all of that is our global work. Bringing the best of the world here to WEF Tech, helping bring U.S. and Canadian perspectives to our global member associations, as well as, of course, AI. I mean, that's probably been one of the biggest trends we've seen, just in the 18 months since we finalized our strategy. It's grown so quickly, and it's one of the reasons we launched the Water and AI Nexus Center of Excellence this year at WEF Tech.
Yeah.
So in partnership with Amazon, the Water Center at University of Pennsylvania, and the leading utilities of the world group, we wanted to tackle, within those three pillars of workforce, circular water, and community, not just this question of how do you use AI to solve water challenges, but also this question of how do you manage water supply sustainably, so that the AI economy has a resilient water supply, while at the same time we're managing water use across the community, across other industries and data centers as well.
So with the AI thing, obviously a big buzzword, I think, here at WEF Tech this year, in the same way that when I first entered the water market, 10 years ago, covering the industry, smart water was really at this peak takeoff point of buzzword, and I'm getting the sense that AI is kind of there too. So the fact that you guys are really considering that as a part of the core mission across multiple pillars really highlights like what's going on there. Yeah. And to your point, data centers and everything, they need a lot of water, they need a lot of energy even. So there's a lot of things that utilities are going to have to manage over the next couple of years here.
But I think that's really the idea of the center is it's a place where we can have this kind of collaborative discussion. And the data center and AI community and the water community can meet, to identify ways to manage these challenges together, to share information about how data centers use water, to identify best practices. One of the things we did at the center during the launch was to roll out our new insight report on principles for sustainable water use by data centers. So it looks at both design and siting of data centers. Right? We know there's a trade-off between energy consumption and water consumption and cooling. And so, making sure that you're using the right type of cooling technology based on the geography is step one. And then it's about using water efficiently and coordinating with the utility on reuse and on replenishment activities, so that you have actually a water positive data center.
Yeah.
And then finally about engaging with the community very proactively and transparently throughout the process. And so the idea is that the center, this is something that we would like to see everybody sign on to, and how do we use this as a way to encourage more of a collaborative discussion.
Yeah, so obviously AI is a bigger business business opportunity and trend that you're seeing. Are there other trends and opportunities that you're seeing that WEF is like looking at strategically of like, oh, that's something that we should probably capitalize on in the next 1, 5, 10 year cycle type of thing? That's
a really good question. I just came from a panel where we're talking about innovation in 2026 with our innovation partners, Blue Tech Research and Imagine H2O. And I think the three things that we identified as major topics for 26 in innovation, one is AI, of course, particularly generative AI.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the use of like smart water. Those are traditional machine learning applications. Still a tremendous runway for more innovation there, but looking at GenAI, tools like ChatGPT, this allows a whole new raft of innovation for water utilities. The other two big themes, PFAS, I think is still going to be a major issue for the industry. New technologies, that are launching this year at WEFTech around PFAS destruction, sensing PFAS early. That's very exciting, and that's an area, where our communities are very interested in seeing more sharing of information, more innovation, and then finally reuse. We're seeing not just in the United States now, a push towards both more potable reuse and more industrial reuse, but globally, tremendous interest in that. There's starting to be some movement around creating global targets for reuse by 2030.
Oh, interesting.
At the UN Water Conference next year in Abu Dhabi, I would expect that's going to be one of the biggest topics of discussion.
That I knew that would be coming. I just didn't know how soon it would be coming. What about headwinds and tailwinds? Like, you're talking about some of these business things. You mentioned PFAS. I feel like that's both has headwinds and tailwinds from a business venture side and from a utility perspective. So when you're thinking about those types of things, headwinds and tailwinds for your members, for WEF, what are you looking at there? What falls into each category at the moment?
I mean, definitely AI is probably the biggest tailwind. It's driving innovation at a pace that we haven't seen ever, and the capabilities are only going to get better and better. If you showed GPT-5 to yourself from 10 years ago, it would seem like magic.
Oh yeah.
And today is the worst day that it will ever be, and it's only going to improve exponentially over the next couple of years. So that's a tremendous tailwind. I think it's going to allow utilities to do more with the same level of resources, to improve customer service, to reduce the costs of O&M. It's also potentially a headwind. I mean, in terms of cybersecurity, it is going to make those risks, even greater.
Yeah.
And we honestly don't know yet what the impacts are going to be on the workforce as a whole. But even in the water sector, I mean, I suspect that operator jobs are going to be even more valuable, more coveted going forward, because it is something that's not easily outsourced to AI. But at the same time, I think we're in a lot of industries going to see massive impacts on labor over the next few years. The other big headwind that we see is, the political environment is something that our members are thinking a lot about. Tariffs have a lot of implications for reshoring, for looking at where they do manufacturing. It makes procurement more difficult. I was in a meeting earlier this week with our Canadian members. And that's something they've talked a lot about, that it makes it that much more difficult, for the sort of cooperation across borders that we've had in the past. And part of what we're doing at WEF is, despite that political environment, what can we do to help support cooperation in the water sector, encourage that sharing of knowledge?
Going back to the AI thing, just briefly with the ChatGPT, I also see this as an opportunity of legacy knowledge transfer, which has been a problem for every industry since the dawn of time, it seems like. And it's like, this almost opens up an opportunity to solve some of that problem for once in a very effective way.
Oh, yes. No, exactly right. And that's, we worked on a project earlier this year with Water Research Foundation and American Water Works Association. It was a group of 20 different utilities piloting GenAI technologies. And one of the ones that I thought was most interesting was where they did exactly that. They basically took, one of their oldest, longest serving operators and just plugged him into an LLM essentially.
Yeah.
And I think it was called something like or Ask Jerry or something like that.
Yeah.
And so there's all of this tacit knowledge, all this knowledge that exists, in people's heads.
Mm-hmm.
And as we think about the silver tsunami and people starting to retire,
Yeah.
if that's not transferred effectively, I mean, it's all going to be lost.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think GenAI is going to be a powerful tool for ensuring that transfer of knowledge across generations and making the next generation of operators even more efficient.
Yeah. So last question for you, I guess it's kind of a little bit of a two-parter. Looking at 2026, what's a key challenge you're keen on solving for your members,
Yeah.
and then what do you know you're doing really well right now that you're looking forward to improving even further looking at 2026?
No, great question. I think big challenge for 26 that I would like to tackle is around financing.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
We know that there's a huge funding gap in the water sector, and even if the state revolving funds and WIFIA are fully funded, still hundreds of billions of dollars a year in infrastructure investment that's needed, just to keep up.
Yeah.
And the only way to fill that gap is going to be with more innovative financing structures and valuing water at what it's worth, so that you can create ways of borrowing against that to invest in the next generation of infrastructure. Mm-hmm. We're very interested in bringing the investment communities and the water community closer together to co-create these kind of solutions. For example, I'm particularly interested in the use of P3s for industrial reuse.
Okay.
They're used pretty extensively in the rest of the world, and P3s don't have as much traction in the US in the water sector. And I think industrial is an area where they're really ripe for more use.
Yeah, a great example of that is the Amazon Xylem partnership, Mexico City, that was just announced as well. It's a perfect example of that type of P3 opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In terms of things we're most proud of, I mean, I absolutely love our Operations Challenge event. I think it's one of the coolest things.
It's the Super Bowl.
It's the Super Bowl of sewage, and that's what the Wall Street Journal called it. To see it featured, on the front page of the Wall Street Journal recently, to have an audience beyond the water sector really understand the important work that operators and that everybody in the water sector does in order to keep them safe, to bring clean water, to bring sanitation to everybody. Just makes me proud as a water professional.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks so much, John. I appreciate you taking the time to chat with us today, and so we can learn a little bit more about things. For everyone who's watching, you can check out our video description below to learn some more about WEF and catch all of our WEF Tech 2025 content.